Good morning, grade 6. So today we're gonna start with our story. This year our story is called The Secret Garden. As you can see, this is the cover of your story. You can see the name of the story, it's The Secret Garden. And if you're asking what's the meaning of secret, secret means something you don't want to tell anyone about. Secret, it's a shh. Secret, don't tell anyone about it, it's a secret. So this means that this garden no one know about it. The garden is secret. And here you can see, here this is the main character of our story. She calls Mary. As you can see, Mary is the heroine of our story today. So let's start with our summary. This story took place in India and England. It first started in India, then it happened in England. It talks about a girl who was born in India and lived with her father and mother there. No one took care of Mary except her servants. She will face many problems which will affect her life. So now, let's start talking about our characters. First, you can find Mary. Mary is the girl on the cover. She was born in India and she had a thin, angry face and a thin yellow hair. She was a very selfish, disagreeable and bad-tempered little girl. Talking about her father and mother. First, let's start with her father. Her father was a British official. He was busy with his work, so he doesn't have time for Mary. And talking about her mother was very beautiful woman. She spent all her time going to parties, so she doesn't care about Mary. As you can see here, this is Mary. Mary was born in India, where her father was a British official, as we said. She was very selfish, disagreeable, and bad-tempered. Selfish, disagreeable, and bad-tempered. So now, how was Mary? Mary was a very selfish, disagreeable, and bad-tempered little girl. Okay, you can see here her mother. Her mother was a very beautiful woman, spent all her time going to parties. Number 3. Now let's talk about the one who took care of Mary. Who is the one who took care of Mary? It was Kamala. Kamala was an Indian servant. She was paid money to take care of Mary. So Kamala was the servant of Mary and she always take care of her. There was something strange happening. Some of the house servants were missing and everybody looked frightened. So in the house of Mary there was a very strange thing happening. What do you think was happening? We don't know. Mary was in the garden playing alone when she saw her mother coming into the garden with a young man. Who is this man? Okay, now we're gonna show some words to know the meaning of it. Number 1, here we have the word official. As we said that Mary's father was an official. Official means a person with a high rank in the government. He is a very important person in the English government who works in India. Number 2, disagreeable. When we say that Mary is disagreeable, selfish and bad-tempered girl. So what's the meaning of disagreeable? Disagreeable means not pleasing. She is always sad and angry. And selfish, a person who thinks only of himself or herself. She always thinks of herself, just herself. And the last character or the last adjective about Mary, it's bad-tempered, and bad-tempered means angry. So Mary was angry, selfish, bad-tempered little girl. And the last word today is pretend. Pretend means to make somebody believe something which is not true. What do you think will happen? So let's start reading our story. Today, we'll start with page 1. Okay? Okay, so let's start. Chapter 1 is called Little Miss Mary. First, let's look at the picture. What can you see, Graces? Okay, I think you can see here. Here is Mary. Okay, Mary is in her bed, and next to Mary there is a servant. Do you think this is Kamala, her servant? We don't know. Let's start reading. Nobody seemed to care about Mary. She was born in India, where her father was a British official. He was busy with his work, and her mother, who was very beautiful, spent all her time going to parties. So an Indian woman, Kamala, was paid to take care of the little girl. Mary was not a pretty child. She had a thin, angry face and a thin, yellow hair. She was always telling her servant Kamala what to do. Mary never thought of other people, but only of herself. In fact, she was a very selfish, disagreeable, bad-tempered little girl. One very hot morning, when she was about 9 years old, she woke up and saw that instead of Kamala, there was a different Indian servant by her bed. So the servant is not Kamala, it's a different servant. What do you think will happen? What do you think Mary will do? Let's see. Page 2. You can read it from your story. Mary started talking to the servant. What are you doing here? She asked crossly. Go away and send Kamala to me at once. The woman looked afraid. I am sorry, Miss Mary. She cannot come. Something strange was happening that day. Some of the house servants were missing, and everybody looked frightened. But nobody told Mary anything, and Kamala still didn't come. So at last, Mary went into the garden and played by herself under a tree. She pretended she was making her own flower garden and picked large red flowers to push into the ground. All the time, she was saying crossly to herself, I hate Kamala. I will hit her when she comes back. Just then, she saw her mother coming into the garden with a young Englishman. They didn't notice the child who listened to their conversations. What do you think they said? We will see next time. So now, we will have an exercise, a small exercise for you to answer it. Question number 1. This is a quotation, okay? Someone said this sentence to another one. What are you doing here? Go away and sing Kamala at once. What do you think? Who said this? Yes, it's Mary. Mary said this. And to whom? Can you remember? Yes, the servant next to her bed. You saw who said this? This is Mary. To whom? To the servant. And when did she say this? When she woke up and she didn't find Kamala. When did she say this? When she woke up and didn't find Kamala. Number 2. I hate Kamala. I will hit her when she comes back. Who said this? Yes, it's Mary. And to whom? To? Yes, to herself. She was talking with herself in the garden. And why did she say this? Why did she hate Kamala? Because Kamala didn't come. Okay, so last questions. Here we have two sentences to complete. Number one, Mary was born. Can you remember? Where was Mary born? Yes, she was born in India. And Mary was about space years old. Okay, now let's check. How old was Mary? Can you remember? Yes, she was. Okay, she was. Here you can say it. 9 years old. She was 9 years old. Put a circle around 9 years old. So now it's your time to read the story by yourself and answer the questions. I hope you get it and you love the story. We will complete next time. Thank you.